Hey everybody, welcome back, and I'm going to be checking out the rear suspension on the car today and some of the rear brakes. So I just have some new shocks, and then I have the two rear brake calipers, and then here I got brake pads, got the soft brake lines, and then just while I'm at it, I figure might as well get some new caps on here too. These ones are gray with just the chrome for the star. So I got the car in the garage. I got the front wheels chalked. And what I'm going to do is just get started pulling off the top of the shocks. So you just have to pull your paneling off here. And once you get behind the paneling, you should be able to see the top of the shock. And then you can undo the hardware there. Then we'll be able to go under the car and jack it up by the differential here, which looks like it's leaking. So, gonna check that out. Once you got the trunk cover out, the trunk lining out, then you can see pretty clearly you got your two tops of shocks. And so that's just a 17 millimeter. And yeah, it looks like for me, I will have to keep the keep something on here to keep it straight. I don't know. I think the manual says it's a 7 millimeter, but like a socket I can put on top of that. So let me check that out. But over here, let's see. Yeah, so I'll have to counter hold that. All right, so this one's a pain in the ass. I'm just in the trunk, and then I got the crescent wrench on there, and I got channel locks, and I'm basically turning this washer off of here. So it's threaded on there. The other one I had to spin it to get it off. It won't go up and down. It does have threading in it, I guess. I don't know if it's supposed to. And so yeah, this was really stuck on there. So just getting through that one. Got both of those free. So now it's time to get it up in the air. Got it up on jack stands. And although the shop procedure doesn't show that you need to, it even shows it with the wheel on. So here it's 32/110. So I'm going to take the wheel off anyways, and then that way I can get to the brakes and some other stuff. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then I actually got a new impact gun. So this one, I don't even think I really need to loosen it before I get it in the air. Gets it right off, no problem. So just gonna go ahead and get this off on the rest of them. So this is the right side. And so the brake rotors definitely could be replaced. They got a pretty big lip on here, almost 2 millimeters. And the brake pads themselves are pretty thin. And then just looking at it, I wasn't sure if this car had a brake wear sensor on the back, and it looks like it does not. So I guess that makes it a little easier, but you know, looking at the soft brake lines, I already got a tear in that one. So this is the old one. So yeah, I'll be swapping that out. And then just for reference too, I remember last time I was concerned about a gap. This is my existing one, so I'm not going to over thread it in there this time. And yeah, I checked over here, and there seems to be some bushing material still left in there, and it seems okay, so nothing bad there. So yeah, basically the next step is to get this little cover off under where the spring goes. And so there is a screw here, and then there's one on the other side. This little plastic cover comes off. Then I can get at the nut and bolt for the shock. And then that should be really straightforward to switch out. I'll do that first, and then I'll get to the rotor and the caliper. here's the cover off. So after you get those two 10 millimeters off here, there they are, you go from underneath, then basically you can kind of stretch this out. This little overhang piece goes over the actual control arm. So you pull this, pull that side, and it falls down. Get that side. I'm going to clean this up really good. It's pretty dirty. And then for the bolt that's going through the shock, that's a 17 millimeter. So you just counter hold it with your open side. You don't want to bust a ratcheting side if that's what you have. And then now you can take this shock out. All right, that was pretty easy. So got it secured in the bottom. That 17 millimeter, got it here. It wasn't too hard to push this down and then line it up and then let go. But they have two different rubber mounts. The bigger one goes in the bottom. And then on the top, basically, you just leave it like this until you're ready to drop the car. So here's the kit. The smaller one is gonna go right in here. Fits pretty good. And once the car drops, it's going to go through a little bit easier there. And then the old stuff, you just throw it away. So here's all the new parts here. And then this one just has a single nut on the top. So I'll go ahead and just leave this here. And looking at the brakes, basically, yeah, this is a lot smaller and easier to work on than the fronts. So on the back of the caliper, there's two 16 millimeter bolts. So there's the top one and then the bottom one right there. So I just got those loosened up, and I'm going to go ahead and, even though I'm going to replace the brake line, I'll hang the caliper off the spring. So I just got my little thing to hang it. I'll do that and then get this sorted first, and yeah, then I'll go get my line wrench for doing that part. And yeah, I'll have to bleed it a little bit later. All right, got that hanging off there, and pretty ghetto, but whatever. And then here you got a 5 millimeter for this little screw that holds the rotor in. And so I just make sure that's seated. I'm using an impact because I just don't want to mess around. I've stripped these before, so look at that, boom, easy. So yeah, I tried putting a ratchet on it for a second and just thought, you know what, it's not even worth it. So now I'm just going to get this loose. So I'll do that off camera. All right, well, getting the rotor off is definitely fun. So I've been, I put it in neutral, make sure the parking brake's not on. I can turn the wheel, it's not locked. And I've been just smacking this thing with the dead blow hammer from behind and hitting around the hub and everything. It's just not coming loose, so I'm gonna take a break, hit it with some PB Blaster first, then give it a go again in a little bit. Finally got it off, so I went to go clean up the cover that goes under here and just let it sit with the PB Blaster, and then I just hit it from behind real good a couple times after trying it regular. So that did the trick. So yeah, at this point I'm going to go ahead and clean this up with some brake parts cleaner, and definitely when I go to put the new one on, I'm going to clean this up and then put some copper paste on there. And I didn't think about it, but I should have got the parts for the parking brake and done the brake shoes too, but oh well. I'm not even familiar enough with them to know, you know, do these look okay? Definitely functionally they're working great, so I'm okay leaving them. Got this cleaned up, and now I'm just looking at the caliper, so I'm just letting it hang because I don't care about the soft brake line. I will remove that, replace it here in a little bit, but just used a punch, got those 2 pins out, or 2 pins loose, and I'm just gonna pull them through, and then, you know, just looking at the brakes, good time I did it. So there's barely any left on the back, and Rotors were ultimately was okay, but yeah, definitely needed to do this. So good to do them at the same time, and kind of cleaned around the area a little bit too, just to get some of the dirt off of there. This thing's seen a lot. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and just get those pins out. Then probably after that's out, I'll do the soft brake line, because I'll have to compress these pistons anyways. So I'll just compress it when it's not connected, and then all the stuff will come out. And then I'll put the new brake line on, and then it's ready to go back on. Yeah, I'll go for the rotor first. So just gonna get some of this anti-seize copper paste on here. Just kind of get it all over the whole face, basically the hub. Make it easy for the next guy. Definitely got enough on there, so I'm gonna go ahead and put this on. And then the thing to note is just, here's where your screw goes in, and here's where the dowel pin goes through. You can see that right here. Okay, got it like that. It's on there good. Got some blue thread locker. Let's kind of put a little bit on this thing. Get this in here. And make sure it's seated. Okay. Great. And then that's blood I just got a cut from something. Yeah, so now I'll go ahead and finish this. I'll get that brake line off and squeeze out the calipers, replace the brake line, and then I'll have to bleed the brakes when it's in the air here. Great, so when you're doing the soft brake line, you just kind of put your 11 millimeter, I'm using a line wrench, the flare nut wrench. So put this, hold it, and then I'm using the same kind of wrench, 14 millimeter, right underneath it. That's gonna break it loose, and these lines here are very, you gotta be careful with it. So I tried to not even turn that side. I'm just turning this part. And then down here, that's really easy too, 14 millimeter with that line wrench. And then you're ready to replace this line. And so I'm using an ATE part, and the threaded piece goes into the caliper. The female side goes right into that piece there. So let me get some kind of a bucket or something. This is gonna get some stuff here and don't wanna get it on the floor. Got the soft line swapped out. So now I'm gonna go ahead and I got the caliper cleaned up too. So compress these, you know, got all the pistons are nice and flat in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this back together. And so there are, here we go, the two pins. I'll clean these off. That's, yeah. So I'll be able to put this back in. You can kind of see where you need to put your brake paste. So this is definitely not the brake side on the back. This is where the Mercedes part number is and stuff like that. So on this side, right in that same region, I'm just gonna go ahead and put the paste in there and go ahead and get these put back in. And then it's ready to connect down here. And yeah, then I'll bleed them. Well, this kind of sucks. I was putting this piece back on the brakes here, and it broke, but so yeah, I might have to go to the auto parts store, we'll see. But I do have something I can try. So I have rivets left over from when I did the windshield, and I have a old school accordion style rivet gun that I got in Mexico. So I'm gonna give this a shot. Basically, yeah, you make it long like this, and then put your rivet in, and then you can squeeze it in, and you do that a couple times, and then it'll go right through that surface. So I'm I'm not sure how I'm going to hold this when I do it, but we'll see. I'll see if I can rig up something. But yeah, maybe that'll do the trick. Okay, that seemed to work pretty good actually. So here it is when it's compressed. So basically you stretch it all the way out, put the rivet in, I put it through, and then the only thing is, unlike the other one that they kind of must have sanded down or whatever, still have this little piece on the back, but it's fine. There's plenty of room back here, I think. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to fit it, make sure it looks okay, and then this guy should be ready to go back in. All right, so I just kind of got it up there, mounted on one. I'm gonna put the thread locker on that piece as I go, put it back on. And so anyways, yeah, I got this. I had to spray it's pretty tight fit when you finally just put the new brake pads on. So yeah, this is reconnected, nice and tight. And yeah, there's a little bit of a gap, not a big deal. That's supposed to be like that. I've been through that a bunch of times. So now I'll go ahead and yeah, that Mexican rivet gun came in clutch. So definitely cool. Yeah, so I'll put the thread locker on, put this on, then I think it's time to move on to the other side. Moving over to the left side, I've already replaced the shock. It's super easy. So I got the new hardware on there, took the cover off. I'll get that cleaned up too. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and do the same thing, get the brake caliper off on this side, then get the rotor, and yeah, you know, pretty much exactly the same thing. Once this is all done, then that's the point where I'll go ahead and bleed it, and then I'll start with the rears, and then basically I'll go ahead and once I get the rears bled, I'll do the front. Basically got the left side done now too. I am gonna straighten this out real quick. It's a little weird looking, but the thing I ran into on this side was that when I was taking this off, I took it off the wrong way at first and totally rounded off the corners. So had to go run and just get a new one. And the one I got is pretty close. Just went to the hardware store, and it's got a 15 millimeter instead of a 16. So I'll just get another one of these next time I go to the parts counter at Mercedes Chandler, and then swap it on there. But yeah, otherwise looks good. I'm ready to get my brake bleeder out. Just bleeding the brakes here, nothing special. So far so good, just getting all the air bubbles. Then I'll get the last cover on. I put the other side on already. Really easy, those 10 millimeter bolts. Just gotta clean this one first. But then, yeah, I'll get the wheels back on, and this is almost done. Once it's dropped, that's when we can tighten up and do the rest of the shocks. So it has to be on the floor. All right, so finally at the last part, I got the car on the floor. Wheels back on. And it's dark out, so it's definitely hard to film. So basically at this point, this is where you can put your rubber piece on. Get that guy on. And then it depends. One of my bags had 2 bolts and one of them had 1. So I think that you're supposed to use 2. So I'm gonna go ahead and tighten this down and then put the second one on top of it and do the same thing over here. And then that's it, we're good. Got to take it for a drive then. All right, well, I did end up doing the rest of the brakes and draining them, and then the last step I'm doing here is just replacing the wheel center caps. So the ones that came on here originally are just silver, and they're a 201 part number, and they're okay, but I like the ones that are gray with the chrome star. It really makes it pop, I think. So got a couple of these here, one for each wheel. There's the part number. I think it's actually a W124 part number. So yeah, I'm gonna put those on, put the liner in the trunk, and take it for a spin. It's ready to go. I got the brake system all buttoned up. Just gotta reconnect the battery.